It's M.J. Little, now 84-year-old. My folks is all born in North Carolina, and they came down to Texas after they was married a while and stayed there several years and then come on to Missouri. I had 5 brothers and 5 sisters. I was the only one that was born in Missouri, down a mile east of Clever on a farm, which I bought later on and stayed there till I raised my kids up pretty well, to at least, and I think was only about 6 or 7 years old, and we moved to Jefferson City for 4 years. And then we come back down here. That's getting a little ahead of the story, but we went to school at Gougai. They had one big school there, our first school, me and my wife, a girl then, 6-year-old. Had one teacher in the front end, one in the back, and a big old box stove in the middle of school. We were 6-year-old, and she lived right on the way to school, and I went by, and she's always ready, and we'd walk to school together. The first year of school, I got my sister and her brother to write letters for us. And we'd always pretty good friends. We'd bust up a while as we got older, and then we'd go back together. Finally married at the age I was 19, she was 18.
Tell me about Gougai.
You go ahead and tell. Well, all right, that granddad.
Gougai church bid there. We always went there.
Now, Gougai was at 14, and at the intersection of what's now 14 and P.
Yeah.
North, on the north edge of Clever. Yeah.
Better tell that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now, what you were telling me, like the teachers. That's always good. Then.
Had a woman teacher in the front end of the school, and a man teacher in the back end. So I was there in the front end of the school with a lot of little kids, and this woman teacher, her name was Gusty Benoyer. She's a real good teacher. We had a big time. The boys would play out in the woods there, and they'd get in late when the bell would ring, but the teacher's pretty good. They never got after so much. But they finally got some pretty tough teachers there as they went on. In fact, there's one that gets mad, he just slobber like a mad dog. And the boys all got to kind of hating him. There's one young boy, he went home that evening before school was out. He told him if he didn't come back, he was going to whoop him. So the next morning he come back late to school. And the teacher had a big old stick there, it looked more like a rod and it did a switch. And Harvey bullied the boy's name. He says, "Stand up, Harvey," says, "you're going to get it." And Harvey didn't say nothing, but said, I was there watching. He put his hand in his pocket, and he had a rock in his pocket wrapped up in paper. The old schooler got him with the arm, jerked him out. He got in that pocket and got that rock and threw it and hit him right in the bare of the ear. Knocked the teacher out. We thought he was going to die. He finally come to. Harvey, he pulled out home, never did come back to school anymore.
Well, how did it get the name Gougai?
And then they was playing there one day at recess.
I don't know, it's always
I had a cousin there was playing, another fellow had a sharp stick, and I don't know just how he happened to throw it, and it hit my cousin in the eye with that stick, knocked his eye out. And they nicknamed the school then was Gougai, and it stayed there then for quite a few years, and they built one up in the town further later on, but I was already through school, and the kids, I think...
What was the name of it before? What was the real name of it? Pleasant something, wasn't
Pleasant Hope.
Pleasant Hope, yeah.
Was Pleasant Hope.
Well, what about your cousin that wasn't another teacher?
Yeah, I had another teacher, John French. He was really rough, and he hung one of my cousins up by both thumbs on the wall and let him stay there about 20 or 25 minutes. His hands all swelled up, so they had a big school meeting about that, and it was about to fire the teacher. He promised he would never do that anymore.
Well, what did you have? High school? You didn't have high school and grade school. Everybody went to that?
Up to the 8th grade. That's all we had.
8th grade.
And the school teacher rode a horse to school, and me and Lonnie Mowney, we was about 12, 13, we thought we was pretty good cowboys. We were going to ride that little old horse of his. And he told us better not to get on it. He'd buck us off. And we told him no, we'd ride him. So we got on there, and I got on behind. The old horse went to bucking, and boy, he sent us both up in there, saddling all the dirt broke. So we come down on the side, didn't hurt us much, but the kids really got a kick out of that. So we went on. I finally finished up the 8th grade there, as high as anybody ever went then. There wasn't no colleges on the way up here, and nobody was able to send their kids up here then. It was quite a life.
Well, see, Granny, who were your folks then?
My folks.
Yeah.
Well, my dad was
You had to
named
talk
That's
loud.
right. No, it'll pick it up. It'll pick it up. Okay.
J.R. Davis. John Davis, his name, but he always signed his name J.R. And we lived down there on the old road, you know.
Which is Highway 14.
Yeah, 14 now. Yeah.
And Dad would come by and get me every morning, and we'd walk together and walk back to school. And my dad, when we built us a new home made, or my dad did, and one morning Mother was making soap and a big black kettle behind.
Yeah.
And that evening she thought she'd go out and see Miss Gardner, that's one of the neighbors. And I guess we never did know how to call a fire, but we always thought maybe a spark or something. She didn't put that. She said she poured water on it and thought she had it out, but I guess she didn't. And we was all at school up there half a mile from there up there. And I can remember me and Lena both, we had one of these great big dolls and hanging up on the wall. And that's what we thought at first, kids like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
As a poet. And John Hart, he was the one that's going to school up there. You don't know him, he's been dead a long time. And he went in and grabbed both the dolls out. And that's all we saved out of the house, and not much pillow, feather bed, or nothing. So we had some good neighbors, and they got in the wagon, went around, and made up for people like we used to, you know. They'd give us sheets, and they'd give us quilts, and pillows and things. That's the way they do to anybody going out, you know.
Well, what did you do for entertainment? Because you didn't have radios or telephones
Didn't have nothing.
or television.
No.
So what did you do for entertainment then?
Well, we did the bugs hadn't come in, and we'd pop a great big dish pan full of popcorn, and Dad always worked for Lester Gray up there in the orchard. We always had a lot of apples down in the cellar, in crates, you know. He'd just pile them up from to the top. And we'd bring a can of apples, popcorn, sit around, they'd play games.
What game? What kind of games? Do you remember any of them?
Well, they played checkers for a while,
Yeah.
French,
They played dominoes a lot.
and
then,
dominoes. Did you ever play French?
No.
Cards.
Flames.
Oh,
We played that lots.
well now, didn't they used to play marbles a lot?
Yeah,
Didn't the men used to play marbles, didn't they?
Yeah.
The big games, marbles and
Outdoors.
croquet.
Yeah.
We used to have a team travel around and play croquet.
With the different towns around.
Yeah.
But regarding my dad now, that book that we've got that Irma wrote, she's not got that fixed. They don't know. They're not old enough down there to figure that.
Yeah,
My
that history of
dad
Christian
was a-
County. First 100 years is the name
Yeah.
of that history. Clever.
My dad
Christian
was the
County, yeah.
first and had a shop there. And Frank Nitzer, he's dead now, him and Betty both, they didn't have no children. And they had a store just around the place. Now that's the entertainments we all had. We didn't have what they do now.
No. Now, when you were little, though, you'd go to each, families would visit families, wouldn't they, and stay all night now, wouldn't they? And,
Yes, and Taylor's had a big family like we did. And we would go to one another's place all the time. And in one Sunday, if they wasn't at our house, we'd always go to church Sunday school. And
Yeah.
we'd go home with one another. And then Dad had made a croquet ground in behind our well. See, we had a well there with a top board. And he took the scrapers and made a croquet. Well, that was their entertainment now. They wasn't in cars running around over the country. They stayed there all evening long. Took time to do the milk, and then we went to league that night.
Well, when you were a little girl, what games did you play? Do you remember?
Oh, my.
When you were,
Dominoes.
when you were, I mean, like you were when you were 6, 7 years old.
Oh, we played with dolls then.
Used to have a lot of parties.
Yeah, that's what.
Breaking candy, and always one got the
candy.
shortest piece of candy had to bite it, and one of them's
Put it in the mouth and bite it.
Oh, yeah.
Second time.
Now that was our entertainment. And when Leo was born, Gordon, why, he went up, we had the biggest old snows on the ground, and we lived about a half mile away from your dad, and he went up there and brought Grandma Little down on the horse. The doctor came on the horse that night. The kids don't know nothing about that.
Oh, no. Now, what were you going to...
Well, I was telling about when I married that age, and then it was in April, and that fall, I put out the tomato crops, all I had. Got Matt Kerr, my brother-in-law, we come up here to Springfield and bought all second-hand furniture, had $52. Second-hand, old and bad. Clock,
That's Mona, I think, coming in. Yeah. I'll switch off.
Grandma
pretty well satisfied with everything.
Yeah. I think everything.
And he broke Leo's arm between his elbow and his ankle here. And that young and Dad walked the floor with him all night long. I guess he bandaged it up too tight. And the next morning, then, when we called him back out there, he unwrapped it. And that was what
Where was the doctor in? Clever?
Dr. Wade.
Dr. Wade? Is that who Wade was named after? Well, now, did they have granny, what they call granny women or anything in that area? They didn't. You had a doctor. You were lucky. You had a doctor.
No, we just went. Neighbors just went.
Neighbors went and helped, didn't they?
Just like now. If Mona was having a baby or anything, why you just get a woman, you know, to come.
Got too old when we come on. We ain't
Yeah.
got a doctor.
No, we didn't have them in them days.
Started in $5 what they used to charge.
Oh my
Oh,
word, I bet they
Golly.
charge 250 now probably.
Well, they finally got to 25 and then I quit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you raised 8. That's pretty good, I'd say.
Bills to pay or nothing, you know, when they all had their babies at home. I think Lisa's baby had been alive today, one that she lost down there, if she'd been in the hospital.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But I was there, it breathed 2 or 3 times before it died. And I had it died in my lap.
Wow. Well, how long did it take you to get to Springfield, though?
Well, it took about 6, 7 hours. You could always have to come up, stay all night, and go back the next day.
And that
Now, did you
hurt.
take stuff down to the market that they used to have down on where the Camel Street? Where did you bring produce up here to?
No.
They used it.
I just come up here and bought my furniture second-hand.
Well, the railroad was there, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
not
not
It wasn't at first.
Oh.
No.
Oh, well, that's...
It was built later on. I worked on the railroad there when I was raising the kids. I forget what year it was built. It was one of the buildings.
But this is where you would come up and buy stuff.
Yeah.
Did you bring things up? You didn't bring things up here to sell, too,
No,
did you?
I didn't.
Yeah, just-
My dad used to come up.
But another thing,
Finest
Gordon,
trip in the world with me. Come up in covered wagon, park the old wagon yard there, square, stay all night, get some bologna, something like that. I think that was the finest eating I ever had.
Oh.
we would go down
Go
there,
back
we would
the
go
next
there
day,
early,
yeah.
take meal down there, and have it ground.
What mill did you use?
Jimbo
Take the
Mill.
At Clever?
No,
No,
it's
Jimbo Mill.
Oh, at Hurley, down at Hurley?
Yeah,
No, it wasn't.
you took it at Hurley too part of the time. Down there at that
Down
mill,
through
have you
Union
forgot
City,
that?
turn left down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Big old windmill under the water.
Huh.
Big wheels.
That's the way we'd get our meal, we'd take the cord and then
Right.
have 2 or 3 or 4 sacks we'd put upstairs. Flour too, that's the way you'd
Well,
get
now,
it.
some people came from far enough they had to stay all night, didn't they, when they went to the
Oh,
mills,
yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah.
You were close enough, you could make it one
Yeah.
day,
I
couldn't
could
you?
take all day long, and the old mill's so slow, you know.
Would you use the same horse to pull your wagons that you used to plow with and everything?
Yeah.
How many horses? Yeah, I don't know. How many horses did you usually have? I don't know these things.
Well,
Really?
usually 2 for a while, and I had 3, and then finally after we got the farming bigger, after the boys got big enough to help, I had to keep 5 most of
Well, now, did you always, buggies were later on, weren't there? Did you always have buggies? The Surreys and that type of thing?
We was married, I had a rubber tire buggy, but that's the first one I ever had, and then I got a Surrey, you know.
We had an old Ford car. We'd load all the kids in that car. We'd go to Clever, and we'd get up there for Sunday school and church. And
Do you remember the first car you saw?
Yeah.
it's an old Ford.
No, I mean that you even saw. First one you ever saw.
Oh, no, I can go.
Frank Nutcher had the first ones ever down in there. I can't think of the name of it now, boy.
I bet that created a
Yeah,
sensation,
yeah.
didn't it?
People see him coming, they'd all get out of the wagons or carriage or what they had to get hold of the horses to death. They scared the horses to death. Some of them threatened to shoot him.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
And Garth, this year, fella up here, Miss Steve's father died here about 4 or 5 weeks ago. She's the one that used to run the hotel. Her and her man, they were Germans. And I stayed with her at Hard Out before I was married. And there wasn't a thing there. See that bookcase behind him there? Now, Ernest, some of us wrote that book that don't know. They wasn't old enough to know. And there was a hotel there in a quarter. And then my dad owned a locksmith shop. And there was a store. Frank Nutcher had a store. And then Miss McBride had a house right behind the store. Well, it's up over where who lives there now? Opal? Little? There on the corner?
Yeah.
That's where it was.
And our doctor lived there.
Of course, there was a house.
McBride.
It wasn't a house, but then that's where it was.
Yeah.
All I can remember then. And we walked up. When my dad walked every night and morning long, and then at 10 for up there. We didn't have no car. And he walked to work in the
Well, now, did they ever...
Well, now, he had a blacksmith shop there, didn't he, in Clever?
Yeah, we had it down on that where he lived there, where
He's right across from the store.
Mike
Right
and
next to the store.
Worth Wilkinson there, you know,
Yeah.
that's where she was born and raised there. One home burned up there and built back.
Well, did you ever hear him talk about Wilson Creek, any? Did any of them that lived in the battlefield over there?
Uh,
Yeah.
Now, there were probably people that fought on both sides that still lived.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we
Well,
used
didn't
Well,
to...
you're-
you say some of your relatives
your
were
father.
on one side and some were on another, or
My
something?
dad on
Some of them from
one
Tennessee.
side and his brother Faith was on the other. They didn't know but what they might be shooting one another.
Oh. Well, what was your dad, Confederate?
So he's the one that got the pension now. Faith went through longer and worse than he did, and he never did get a fine.
Or he'd be the Confederate then? Fate Little what?
Yeah, Uncle Faith.
Not the Faith.
Oh, not...
She knew.
Oh, not that.
He was a brother to his dad.
Confederal wasn't in there. One was called.
One was a Federal, Northern. The Northerns were Federals, and the Southerns were Confederates.
I believe it.
Your dad was a Confederate, wasn't he? Wasn't he captured?
He got his leg broken, then the ball broke one of his legs. And rolled over behind the log till the battle was over, and they took him to the hospital and was going to take his leg off. And he told him no, die altogether. He wasn't going to have his leg taken off. And he got over it, and he wouldn't never know he had it broken.
Well, now, did he go out then and fight Indians?
Indians.
Yeah.
No, he didn't fight him.
Well, I thought, well, maybe it was one of your uncles that
He's
was
white.
captured, and then they sent him, paroled him to go fight Indians in the West. That must have been one of the uncles or something. Somebody at that reunion was talking about that.
His dad was only 18. He went in and stayed 2 years.
Now, they were from Tennessee, weren't they? Or, no, North Carolina. Yeah, that's right.
But I forgot the name, but anyhow, he's the lucky one. He got a pension for years and years. The state never got a pension.
Well, now, you mentioned the Germans a while ago. Now, there was a lot of Germans lived over at Billings, weren't there?
Yes, and I told you about Clever. I forgot that little hall. I had a little hall right there by the store, right just
In
kind of
Clever?
close. It's Clever. And that's where the German people out here would come out there, and they'd bring barrels of whiskey and
Beer, not whiskey. They all
well,
want beer.
whiskey had whiskey and beer too,
I
and
don't think I had much whiskey.
they wouldn't let me go. And got there, Albert, he was Coleman, he wasn't married. My brother
Oh.
married Minnie Rose, and so they let me go ahead. And they just had benches alongside for you to sit on, and they'd waltz, you know, the girls and the boys would. Of course, I couldn't do that. I just sat and watched. But I went with Albert. They let me go
Got to
ahead.
dancing.
Yeah.
She'd go to dances and dance
Yeah, I used to
go
swear
with
that.
Albert up there.
Now, did they have it? Did you dance any at Clever? Yeah. What they have? Fiddle players
That
or?
hall,
Yeah,
that
fiddle and a band.
hall.
Yeah. Well, did they jig too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see them jig. That's
Yeah.
I'd love to watch them do that. That's,
I'm dancing then.
Yeah.
Thank God they never
Do any
thought
round
they'd
dance.
have a
yeah.
Hager beer, you know, them old Germans, and great.
Drank that like
That's
water.
the reason
Oh,
Mom and Dad
yeah.
would never let me go.
Yeah.
Got to go with Albert.
Well, how many churches were there in Clever then? The same ones they have now? or-
3 Christian, Methodist, Baptist.
Granny was a Christian until she
Yeah.
married Granddad.
Well, now that doesn't sound right.
I mean, belonged to the Christian church.
I raised in the Christian
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
And their kids getting up.
See, old Union Hill used to be over yonder, the Christian church over there, by this side of Laura. Well, where your mom and dad used to live, up this way there on the corner, you know. That's where we used to go. And I tell you what was so funny, we was all boys and girls, and, well, I did not tell you if that's a that was.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
And this Josh Pierce's wife down here, she'd let her kids nurse the breast, you know, so stand just like a little calf, a sucking little
About
calf.
3-year-old.
And they would,
Oh, my goodness.
and they would get in that church house, like she just pull that big old breast out, and he'd just stand there and say, and the boys and girls would just die, they'd just kill them, you know, flag them to death.
Yeah.
I will forget that one.
Where didn't you go to, where was Wise Hill? Was it a Methodist church, wasn't it? Was there a Wise Hill church?
Wise Hill was over there.
Oh, Wise Hill.
church.
Because Zola, where Zola used
Yeah.
to live, that's this
Yeah.
way.
Well, what were you telling me happened one time?
Turn that
Yeah,
thing
wait.
off now.
I know what I was going to ask you. Oh, at churches, since that was the center of everything, there was a lot of things happened. They wouldn't happen at a church now. Wasn't there somebody got shot one time or something at church?
Oh, I tell you,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
we went to a whole bunch of us young people went to Mount Carmel. And that time we all went in a wagon with a hay frame on it. And when we got down there, we got, of course, got out and went in it. And J.W. Wolf's mother and who was the other one?
Lady Cloud.
Yeah, old Grandma Cloud, they're both dead now. They come us in front of the church and shot from that. Well, we went into church, all of us, young people, sitting on the side, and I had the hay frame on the wagon. And when we come out, well, somebody cut the harness on the horses.
Huh.
And there we was. What do we do, Dad?
Oh, tied them together with the wire.
So we got back. It was just full of people.
Well, what was that, though, you were telling me one time at that pie supper? or
Rock
something?
supper.
Yeah, rock supper.
There's a couple of fellows got in a fight out there, and one of them was cussing him, backing him up when he got him in front of old Crumpler, and
Like the
they
box up.
got into it over a girl, and
And like this.
old Crumpler fired at him a knife, and he left him and cut his jaw, and he had his pistol in his pocket here, and he shot him right in the stomach.
Yeah.
He ran upstairs, and he staggered around up there,
Fell up there.
fell, and they brought him downstairs, and he died before the doctor could get there.
Yeah.
There was about 8 or 10 fights there that night.
Now, this was a school, a box supper at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Did they-
was Hill.
Now, they
You know
used to
where
fight a
Deacon
lot, didn't
Darks
they? They
lives?
used to have a lot of fights, didn't they? Fist fights, I mean.
Well, they both agreed.
Well, I mean, no, just there used to be a lot more fights,
Oh,
wasn't there,
yes.
than there are now.
They did have guns.
Yeah. But now, it wasn't common for people to carry guns, though, was it? Any more than it would be now? Or did they, that was kind of past by then, wasn't it? By that time. Well, where was this Bloody Ridge Church? I've heard about that for years.
Down to Union City, where they'd have fights down there just every week.
You know what Union City?
Yeah.
Had a big meeting, fight, people cut all the people. They used to do
Now,
all
this was a
the
church,
knives.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did a lot of knives cut.
Well, Bloody Ridge is you go south, the Union City, down there, the major church.
Well, let's see, that thing, let's see, we got about 5
Then
minutes.
George, I said you talk about the young people now.
Yeah.
They not much, only go more
Yeah.
and got cars
Yeah.
than they were back then.
Young people are young people, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, now, you mentioned to me, too, home remedies you used to have and stuff. And what do you think? Yeah, for medicine, because you didn't go to the drugstore and get medicine,
No,
did you?
I tell you, Gordon, him and Matt Kerr, that's you know Matt Kerr, Matt's sister. Well, they went to Springfield up here in a wagon, and while we went to housekeeping, was in, you put it all in a wagon bed. And they got back, and I tell you what they got. They got a little cook stove with 4 taps to it, and old homemade table. I had that table for just before we went to Springfield, and a bench on the back where the kids would be about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I saw Big Barbara's not long ago, and she said, I just see that old bench. She used them over and over tonight. So, let's see what I can tell you.
About medicines, wasn't it, or home remedies? Yeah.
And we had a box buried outside of the door. Dad buried it and dug it up, and we got cold water poured in it to put a milk and butter.
Yeah.
We didn't have no cellar there when we first moved on. We said box, I had the nuts, and Leo used to have the coots and that. And Dad would get out and fill a pole cap. I just feel so the old me probably. And, you know, I ended that up and put it in the bottle. And I'd pour that down him, and he'd be crooked that way, and all that flame would come up. That was the best medicine up. So, so he would just gag the pieces, and they'd come up, and then you'd get rid of that.
What did you render? You mean the fat out of the whole cat? Yeah. And then he would get it hot, and then he'd drink it.
Yeah,
just like that.
All my medicine except that, we didn't call the doctor. Take the kids to the doctor and had to go.
What about, did you boil teas like they used to hear that they did out of elm bark and that type of stuff? Of course, there's one you still use that I asked Susanna about one time.
Sassafras.
No, touch your tongue to turpentine. He said like that. He said that's just like a...
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah, he said sure. Yeah. He said, well, the worst thing you ever had happen was the influenza epidemic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was that? Did a lot of people get sick at that?
People dying, all my neighbors down. I was going out and help them with milking my cows and feeding. And then go in to smell that stuff. An old doctor come in there. He was an old army doctor. And he knows what to do. Each day the person had high fever and turpentine. My brother's real sick. He got better, and then I asked him, what in the world did I do? I said, I've got a lot of cattle, hogs, everything there. I get sick, all my neighbors are down. He said, well, young man, says, if you do what I tell you, you'll never take that flu. I said, well, I'll try to do it. What do you want me to do? He said, go to the drugstore and get a little 2-ounce bottle of medical turpentine. Just touch your tongue to it every night and morning when it's in the country. Says you'll never take the flu. That's what I done. And the wife took it and I slept with her. She had 3 years straight. I never have had the flu yet. See it yet.
Yeah. Well, now let's see. What else? of course, people still wear copper bracelets
Yeah.
for arthritis. Now, what was their what was they called, the thing that you used to wear a bag around their acidity or something? What was in that? I never did
Oh,
understand.
it smells. It was just little white. Kind of like chalk there. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But it
Different
was
diseases
smelled
where
good.
they keep it.
You tie up a little leg and put it out. I wore that to school all the time. Keep you from taking diseases.
Yeah. Well, this is about, let's see, this is just about over. Well, we better, Scott, we'll do this again sometime. Let's see, this is August, 9th, 1974. Yeah. It's just the day after the primary.